Homer, how you feeling?
I feel just fine. Feel fine laying way up here on this high ridge. Feel like a cat got out of bandbox and laid up on a good warm table. Feeling fine, boys.
John Homer Walker has lived in Giles County near Narrows, Virginia, for most of his 78 years. His family has lived in Western Virginia for generations, having settled in this area some 150 years ago along the New River. He is the last surviving member of a family of 9 and is known affectionately to one and all as Uncle Homer. The banjo is an ancient instrument, part of the African legacy to the New World. Up until around the turn of the century, it was the most popular instrument of the black musician in America. Uncle Homer is one of the very few who remain the masters of this old-time strumming technique, a style known as claw hammer.
Well, I just mostly picked it up myself. Didn't nobody tell me and learn me how. I just picked it up and started off fooling with it, just so I could play a piece or two, and then just kept following up till I get a little better and a little better. And so didn't nobody exactly teach me to play a banjo. I just picked it up by myself. Mother played the banjo, grandfather played the banjo, my uncle played the banjo, and I had 2 sisters that played banjos. A lot of my foreparents on both sides of the family that was musicians and played banjos. Well, my Uncle Teal played a banjo. And that was why I told you about the old homemade banjo that he made himself to try to learn to play on. Made out of, I think he'd taken a piece of white oak and trimmed it down, make it thin so he could bend it, around in a hoop shape. And made him a banjo and put a groundhog hide on it for a banjo. Now we sat there and I practiced and played and plucked and fooled with that old banjo many times. When he didn't have it himself plucking and fooling with it, I had it. And that's where I learned to play a few pieces on the banjo. I started trying to play, and looked to me like sometimes it sounded like a bunch of cats are fighting when I got started out and making so much racket, and then maybe the old folks running plumb out the house, then we got out and making all that racket. I didn't get out and maybe out on a stump somewhere outside the house and play. And I kept practicing, till I learned to play a little, and got up to where I'm at now. Of course, I can't play yet. I'm just practicing. Steal away, steal away. Home, you see the children steal away, and I ain't got long to stay here. For when I was in the house of sin, I ain't got long to stay here. Oh, Satan went out when Christ come in, and I ain't got long to stay here. My Lord, he done. This old fella, he was one of my great uncles, I reckon, from what I've been told. And he'd steal away, and go to the woods to pray. That master didn't allow him to pray, didn't have time for that, he had to be working. And so he'd steal off and go to the woods. Had an old lady there, the cook, a colored lady, she was a cook at the house. And everything that went on, and she seen going on, she had to go tell her master to get some of them whipped. And she come in and told the master that Abe gone up on the mountain to pray. But never mind till I take my whip up, I'll bring him out of there. When he got up there, though, Abe done got things warmed up so well with the Lord, throwed his whip away. And he come back out of the mountain singing, "Steal away, Seth," and shouting. Now steal away, steal away, steal away home to Jesus, children, steal away, and I ain't got long to stay here. But he called me by the thunder, I ain't got long to stay here, and a trumpet sound in my soul, and I ain't got long to stay here. Now steal away, steal away, steal away home to Jesus, children, steal away, and I ain't got long to stay. Black man had a hard time at that day and time. He just had to do exactly what his boss told him to do, everything, and it made it made it awful hard on him. Now, my granddaddy, Mr. Muster, was, they was walkers. The old man Tommy Walker and his bunch had the slaves. And when slaves was freed, they give them everyone a piece of land and a little place to build them a home on it. And so down where I tell you about where I was born at, is a place where my granddaddy built his little home on, a little farm that he built his home on. And that's where I was born at. The old house is burned down, but the old chimney's standing there today. My days on the railroad, I was young at the time and stout. I was a young, stout man, didn't mind it. All this done now was done by hand them to that day and time. It wasn't no machinery to do it. We done all this by hand. Was use spike and hammer, spikes by hand, use pick, time-piece ties, use pick to pull these old ties out, put new ties in, and everything, but we had to jack the old rail up so we could pull those ties out and put the new ties back in. I have laid the steel across this here black bridge you see down here. They don't use it no more. But I have laid the steel across that bridge across there. At that time, they called it 8 hours, but sometime we worked 10, 12 before we got off. Of course, we wouldn't make no big wedges. We just getting common wedges in. Maybe if something run about 40, 50 cents an hour. It's what we getting out for laying steel on railroad. Here comes a man. That's a big man coming. Yeah, he's coming through here. Now, I'll tell you the boy's name. It called steel for us. Now, he called steel when we was laying track. Now, he called steel. Well, Eugene Anthony. And, buddy, I mean, he could talk it off just like somebody preaching for years. And he come and talking, you know, when he was started laying steel. All right, boys, and I'll tell you what I want to do this morning. Said I'm going to tell you before you start out, I want you to work, and I don't want you to play. Come on, boy, now, let's lay this track. We ain't going home till we get it back. Come on, boy, lay this track. You short line before you go back. Laying this steel ain't no fun. Boss man said it all had to be done. So now, come on, boy, lay this track. I lay this track, work hard today. Wait 12 at night, then I didn't get no pay. So now lay this track, boy, lay this track. Come on, boy, now lay this track. Well, I went up on the mountain and looked back down. I seen somebody said he looked like a clown, but he was still laying track. Throw me the Banjo and lay this track on. Put that board down across that rail, so now, boy, lay this track. That was a boss man in town. Said this track ought to be laid now exactly round and down. Let's lay this track. Come on, boy, now lay this track. If I had a nickel and didn't have a dime, I think I'd live in a good old time, but I ain't got nothing now. But lay this track. I just decided to quit after I fooled around with it a long time. I decided I'd find something else to do. Maybe I could hold out better at it than I was staying with the railroad company. Where it was cheaper times you'd cut off, maybe laid off for a month or two, or maybe a year that you didn't get back on the railroad. And you had to pick up something else to do, and so I got to it. I decided I'd just lay off from the railroad and work at something else. And when I left the railroad, I went on the farm right across the river over here. And then from there to the Appalachian Power Company. When I left the Appalachian, quit working there, worked for the cinder block company in Roanoke. Hauled cinders out of this cinder pit down here at this Appalachian power plant and make cinder blocks. This old railroad business long about that time was work. I mean to tell you, it wasn't play at all. It was work. Yeah, whenever you got to handle them ties and drag them and put them in, lift them rails and handle them and put them in, it was work then. It wasn't playing. You rattle, you rattle, you rattle, you rattle, you rattle, you rattle, oh, rattler from the morn. You rattle again.
What kind of man chooses to live his life in the mountains?
You rattle again. You rattle.
He must do much more for himself than other men.
You rattle.
There is no other way for him to survive. He has pride in his ability to do many things and do them well and resist any interference with his independent way.
I get my heat from an old coal stove or a wood stove. Yes, sir, that's my coal right there. I reckon just because I got used to these mountains, stayed up in here and worked around so long, and I reckon that's one reason that I like the mountains. I never have thought nothing about moving to the city. I never cared nothing about the city life. I never did like the city life. I just hang to these mountains. One thing about country life, a man can get out and travel around here, and when the hunting season, he can get out and hunt. I kill turkeys, I kill bear, kill deer, I kill coons, possums, rabbits, squirrels, pheasants, everything like that, and quail. I don't have no idea that band that you fellas had here wouldn't be whole half of it, what I've killed in my lifetime. I get a whole lot of food out of my garden. I get beans and potatoes, onions, cabbage, lettuce, stuff like that. I raise a good garden most every year. A whole lot of my stuff I raise in the garden that I don't use, I give it away. Give to my neighbors here. Old hens gets in these barrels here and lay around, and I have to get out here and get them up, keep the dogs from getting the eggs, and I crawl in here and pull them out. Well, the dog done me a pretty nice job. He left me 6 today. Do most of my own cooking. Most of my own washing. It don't look like it don't take as much to do me now as it did when I was younger. I was a big eater when I was young. When you got ready, you used about a half a bushel of meal, 50 pounds of sugar, and, well, I'll say a half a dozen cakes of yeast to go in it until you made your mash, set your mash up and let it sour until it soured and got ready to run off, got ready to work. Well, you run it through one time, you clean your pot out and put it back in there and run it back through again. That's what you call doubling it. That's what's called double still whiskey. Some of my family, they handled some and made some back in my young days. Some of the family made some. Granddaddy and several other old fellas would get together, you know, and put them up a little run and make it. And just for their own use. They didn't make it for the sale or nothing like that. They just make it for their own use. There's a lot of it put in wooden kegs and aged for 2 and 3 years at a time. Yeah, that old-time beef brandy was good. It was good drink. Run it and not put it up and make it too strong, you know, not have it run too high. And it was a good drink. It's better than anything you can buy today out of the liquor stores. If you run it yourself and run it right and make it clean, it's better than the liquor stores whiskey you buy today. I'm just 78, 15th February passed. I'm 78 years old. I was born in 1898.
Here, with his friend Franklin George, Uncle Homer recreates some of the spirit of the old-time mountain hoedown.
We sat around, you know, they come in, gather up together and come around, sit around, play banjo and sing and play guitars, have dinner and on the ground and have preaching. And we walk around there and talk with one another. We meet lots of old friends that we hadn't saw for many years and lots we'll never see again. Uncle John Walker, he'd come in, he played the banjo.